You know what I mean?
Discipline stoners.
The gateway drug to mindfulness.
Gateway drug to mindfulness. Let's roll one up and take a hit. Gateway drug to mindfulness. Let's roll one up and take a hit. Gateway drug to mindfulness.
And welcome back to another episode of Discipline Stoners. I'm your host, Ellevan.
My name is Winnie.
And we are the Gateway Drug to Mindfulness. And today, I'm so excited to have this guest. You meet cool people at these conferences and stuff, and you're like, you know what, your heart's really in the right place. But I hand it over to Winnie for the proper introduction.
Our next guest has been a cannabis activist and consumer for over 40 years. She is founder of Mimi Cannabis, a place to get the latest and greatest cannabis accessories and jewelry, and a cannabis consultant and educator guiding people through a personalized cannabis journey. Please welcome Michele Parrotta.
Thank you. Such an honor to be here. I am such a fan of your show.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Amazing.
Thank you.
We agree. We are similar.
And you know, it's so funny, discipline stoner. I love that term because I guess I kind of feel like I'm a discipline stoner. I've been a discipline stoner my whole life. So
you are the dreamy person that I wish I could show my mom. Like, you know, about you smoke cannabis, you're well put together, you're eloquent, you are disciplined in life, and you're a stoner.
Yes, definitely. Over 45 years I have used cannabis.
So from right off the top, because I'm very curious, how did you get introduced to cannabis?
Well, when I was in high school, like everybody else, there were the school dances, and there was I grew up in Kingston, actually. And Kingston was a pretty good party town. And I was never drinking was just never really my thing. Like I used to drink underage and get sick and think, this is just not really for me. Now, as I got older, I'd certainly been able to develop, although I don't use alcohol anymore in my life. But I can still remember the first time trying cannabis. It was down by the creek, Henderson Place. That's the area I lived in Kingston. I still remember this. And I remember it was out of a metal pipe. And I remember feeling that euphoric feeling right away and thinking to myself, I'm never going to drink again.
Yes. This is the altered state.
But thinking to myself, this is fantastic. Like, this is, you know what I mean?
Yes, we do.
Yes. So, and I mean, let's face it, back then it was nothing like it is now. It certainly wasn't, the genetics and things like that we deal with now. And I mean, this was grass. I smoked grass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then hydroponics kind of started to work its way in. And that's when things started to get a little bit stronger. Ever since that day at that creek, I've used cannabis.
Oh my God, just love at first sight.
Love at first sight. Now, medically, I didn't start using it for probably about 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's when I really started getting introduced to oils. Like I consume a lot of oils now.
Right.
For lots of different reasons. Arthritis, menopause, lots of different reasons. But that's when I started learning about medical, and I started, I was a clinic manager for 2 different clinics in Ontario. And I started, with all the experience I had with cannabis, because I was from the hotel industry, I was like, am I going to get a chance at my age to dip my, pinky into this industry at this age? Well, it turns out that I did,
Yes.
And this age actually, are the number one demographics walking in the stores right now and spending probably the most money and have the most disposable income. So, So I thought there is a place for me. There is a voice for that person that's over 50 that has either used it all their life like me or is just trying it now. I also help people get access to medical, but like, I mean, it's, we're old, we're not sick. We have arthritis. We go through menopause. We have,
Right.
you know what I mean? There's lots of things that it's so useful for.
Life.
And I think that we're seeing much more people my age and older sort of replacing those medications that they don't want to take anymore.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong, the average person over 55 is on 4 to 6 medications in and around. I mean, like, do I take anti-inflammatories anymore? Never.
CBD.
And I have arthritis like you wouldn't believe, but honestly, my stomach can't handle them. So I think that's the number one thing that I have people that come to me for, for things like that. And menopause for sure.
Wow, that's a huge one that I don't even think really a lot of the industry has. We haven't
scratched the surface of that.
Well, do you know what? Between perimenopause and menopause at any given time, we have probably about, 60% of our female population going through some type of hormone decrease, at any time. So it starts, very young. I was 47 and, that's young. So people start dealing with it usually a couple of years even prior to that. So
I think my mom had that.
Yeah. I'm telling you, honestly, cannabis is the best thing for it, honestly.
Oh, that's so nice. And I love how you said you've been using it your whole life. Like it was love at first sight, but only over in the past 7 years have you adjusted your perspective to think medically and target certain areas with certain elements of the plant, and most likely a schedule or some sort of eagle-eye view about self-administration has to go with that. And I think that's the incredible thing that we're curving that bend right now, coming around the bend of, oh, this whole makes sense, because up to this point, even a lifetime user like yourself, our answer has been like, it's good, like it connects you to spirit, like I guess like it's always esoteric, but now we're like measuring it, recreating results. It's becoming factual in like the third dimension of cognitive now. So like, and you're obviously doing great work in that space, so thank you for showing up for that. But it's like,
I feel terrific for my age. I feel terrific. I don't mind saying that I will be 59 September 11th. And I feel fantastic. Like I feel great. Do I attribute it to cannabis and cannabis oil? Absolutely, I do.
So oil.
Absolutely.
That's what you like to get down with the most? Oil? Is that your number one?
Well, I take 1-to-1 oil twice a day, always. And I use heavy THC flower at night. I usually use sort of lower THC. Sometimes I consume flower in the day, depending on what my day is like. I have vape pens that I use for onset spasms that I get, that type of thing, right? So I have all the tools in the toolbox. Like, the tools are there. I know what I need.
When you need it.
Because I deal with a lot of, you know how when you get a Charlie horse,
and
you're kind of, I get those kind of all over my body. So I get a lot of spasms, and I'm telling you, cannabis is the shit.
Oh, it's the shit. It's the
for that.
This is a clip. This is a clip.
Yeah.
Straight from Mimi. Cannabis is the shit. If you know, you know.
Yeah, it is for that, because I can literally be in a cramping, Charlie horse and take 2 drags off my vape pen and it's gone. It's gone. And it's just.
And like that has to do with obviously the regulation of the messenger cells in our cannabinoid system, but also just probably the ability for us to take a breath. Like something happens, like where the holistic equation is solved. I get that. Or reset, and that specific thing releases, because the whole thing gets like so that's why I think it's been hard for this
it's
long.
Homeostasis, baby.
Yeah. Exactly.
Homeostasis. And
It's
you know what? I feel it, and because people will say to me, you're almost 60. I'm like, yeah. And but like, I feel great. I feel very, I have the odd little, but if it wasn't for cannabis, I don't know where I would be. And I see more and more people taking the plunge, and my age and older, and I'm glad to see it, because I can still remember years ago when I first started, because I've been in the industry now since before legalization. I worked in cannabis clinics, and I can remember an older gentleman saying to me, and that's when I knew I wanted to help older people.
Yeah.
Said to me, I don't know if it takes away my pain or if it just makes me forget about it. But you know what, Mimi? I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Bars. Yes.
And I thought to myself, you know what? That is such a great way to describe it, because it's so true. I don't know if it takes away my pain, but it certainly makes me not think about it as much.
Yeah.
And, there's so many people living with so much daily pain, and it really does. It takes your mind somewhere that you're not concentrating it on that,
because what you focus on expands.
Yeah,
exactly.
Nature.
I've been like getting worse and worse period pain over the last year, and interesting.
Yes.
and cannabis has been such a great way for me to like continue living my life during those days where it feels just so heavy. Am I still like on cannabis during my period? Am I the happiest person in the world? No.
Yes.
But can I function? Can I like still go for walks? Do I have to lock myself in my room? Sometimes still, but I can still process it in a way that isn't so excruciate.
You should try the new suppositories by Peak Farm.
I should. Pharma. Yeah, I've tried one up my butt.
Yeah, no. You need to try, honestly, that they're fantastic.
Cool. I'll try one.
Honestly, Antoinette has done a terrific job with that product and the launching of it. And I know that it's available pretty much medically. It's available through Mendo Medical. It's available through, I think, Shoppers, through all the medical platforms. So it's really, and I think, that product is going to be really good for menopausal women, as well as, bringing back that sex drive, bringing back, getting rid of the dryness, getting rid of, making yourself feel sexy again, so
yes.
Awesome. I'm all for that.
Speaking of sexy, I'm about to light this up in honor of you, Mimi. We got a little.
I'm gonna light this up.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers. So nice to be here.
Yes, this is lovely.
It is so great to see.
And it's nice to be able to, I think we're getting to the point now where, I think that we're dealing with a lot of problems in the rec market where there's people my age and older that just aren't getting their questions answered properly,
Yes. Well, we're not, the bud tenders aren't allowed to say anything. They're not allowed to talk about healing. They're not allowed to say that you can be smart and be a stoner. It's like, well, where do you leave me to go from here? You're basically reopening an alcohol store and replacing it with cannabis, that's not the culture. That's not what people need.
Well, to me, it's like taking the DIY out of Home Depot.
Thank you. Well said. Beautifully said.
Yeah.
Beautifully said.
Because honestly,
imagine if you could just go get wood.
Earlier is that I also know that we're the number one demographic walking in the store, but we have questions.
It's an investment.
Yes, absolutely. Do I think that we'll see two-door system? Probably not in my lifetime. Maybe in yours. I truly hope so. Will we see brick and mortar medicals places? I think we're going to see them sooner rather than later.
There's
and
one.
desperately need them.
There's one on Queen Street. Just opened.
Really?
Yep.
There's also a native. I love the indigenous. They're running their cannabis shops outside of the there's something special going on that I love what's going on, because it's like, fuck you, we were here first before your shitty laws. Like, they're running it on their own accord somehow. Do you know what's going on with that?
Well, there is one on the Danforth that is running and
on its own
without
sanctity.
a license. That's
But there's one on Queen too.
Yeah, I've only worked with the ones that are on
the reserve.
The reserves.
Land.
Oh yeah.
Like to me, it's all sovereign land. Do you know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
I'm not,
Right.
I'm not disputing that fact at all. And do I think that things should be done differently for them? Absolutely. Do I think we need to help and support them? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do I think that there needs to be exceptions for them? Absolutely.
Yep.
And do I think that they have the right to self-regulate? Absolutely.
Yeah, agreed.
So,
Yeah.
if they want to self-regulate, you know what I'm saying? I support them all. And the other thing that's fantastic about going to an Indigenous store is you can still talk about medical. There's still a picture of your endocannabinoid system in that store, whereas you won't see that chart in a retail store.
Well, that's what I'm.
Our stores.
It's one of the greatest points of value is being gifted the tools of application with this thing. So we talk about it a lot, how folks find cannabis through partying, through thinking it's some sort of, whatever, man, let's get messed up. That's fine. We usually all find it that way. But then I always say like, hey, I'm not just a Friday night smoker, but Monday morning really helps me focus. So let me bring it in. But if someone would have had that conversation before I had to find it through partying, it would have been incredible. Like I'm diagnosed Tourette's, like this stuff could have all been grounded and channeled earlier in my life. If someone was just like, look, science as well.
Yeah.
Basically,
that's how I feel about menopause. I'm already on the other side of that. Now there's suppositories. Now there's this. Now there's that. There's so many things. And so like I'm
would have been so helpful, right?
There, use all of that stuff because I didn't have any of that stuff. Yeah. So,
but now you know.
Now I know, right? And I think that it's
it got real sexy all of a sudden.
The 420 gods.
And so now we're seeing do I still believe in my heart of hearts that I think suppositories should be sold through a medical platform? Yes.
Yeah.
Do I, I don't think that, when you can't
that makes sense.
It's pretty hard to sell a suppository in the retail space without talking about anything medical. So I think that, there are, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. They're like, they put retailers in the ring with their hands tied behind their back.
Yeah.
Like
and they're cutting their nose off to spite their face because even if the stores had the budget to have a nurse practitioner or an educator come in 3 days a week and deal with those customers that need that little bit of extra attention, if they need to go through a medical platform, you're there to help them. If there's merchandise in the store that's going to help them, then you're there to help them.
Yes.
I think in Colorado, you can kind of walk in and, talk recreationally or talk medical. It's like a two-door system, right?
Yeah.
And I think that that's like, I honestly knew that was going to happen. I just didn't think it was going to happen this fast. And I think it's affecting sales because unfortunately, people like myself will go in and, if they don't understand dosing or if they green out or take too much, I ain't doing this shit again.
Right.
Or if they don't take enough, it's this shit don't work. Right? So
you have to nail it. And without
you have to nail it.
Communicating, you can't nail it.
And that's what's going to bring in revenue, bring in trust, bring in all those things.
Community.
Right?
Well, I think at the store that I've been at for the last 2 years, because I do have a lot of people coming in asking for medical advice, which I obviously can't give.
Right.
But my main point is this is going to be the way that it is. It's going to be a trial and error. So like, if this doesn't work first time around, it doesn't mean that it's not going to work. We just need to do some experimenting. And if you're open to that, then you're going to find something. But like, you got to know that going in because it can be scary sometimes, or it can feel like, oh, fuck this is bullshit, and
you've got to build it up in your system. You have to, there's a lot of people my age who think, oh, I'm going to take CBD oil one day and bam, I'm going to feel better. I mean,
it's a vitamin.
it's even hard for people my age to remember the letters like CBD, THC. Do you know how
Totally.
easy that is for someone in their 60s or 70s to screw up?
Yes.
You know, they're driving and they're, whoa, you know, like they bought the wrong thing, right? So this happens. It
fuck.
happens, right? So I
Wow.
think that they're, you know, they keep saying they're going to be making changes. I don't even think they've started the discussions yet.
No.
This is going to be a detriment to the industry, unfortunately. So, and like I said, it's happened faster than I actually thought it was.
It's like they're trying to contain the stigma for as long as possible.
That's exactly what the fuck it is, if you ask me.
So
Yes.
like if this information gets out too quickly, too accessible, so many people
They'll
get
lose so much
informed.
pharma sales. It's insane.
Here's
Cannabis
an
can
example.
solve so many things that they have fucking pills plugged in people
Exactly.
for.
But here's an example. The average person, my age or even younger, older, whatever, do not know the simple information that THC and CBD are two of the most powerful anti-inflammatories, natural ones that we
Yes.
have access to,
Yep.
right?
Yep. That's what I
But
say.
most
It's
people
like
don't
turmeric.
know that. Most
Yeah.
people don't know that.
Yeah.
Even just that bit of information, just with the people I know over 50 that are riddled with arthritis and need help. You know what I mean?
Oh, and it's so powerful that you're saying it. It's truly so powerful that you're saying it, because when I say this shit, it's like sometimes, you know, my mom or whatever thinks like that this kid just wants to like party and zone, like vibe. It's like,
Or
no.
or they don't really understand what high means. I think
Yes.
we have a weird correlation with high, and people that
Drunk, fucked up.
don't understand it think that it's
Yeah,
just like
and I explain it to people older to the fact that if someone says to me, so what's the difference between recreational and medical? I'll say recreational is all THC, pretty much. Medical cannabis
that's fair.
is CBD with small increments of THC using 1-to-1 oils, so that you're not high, you're just adding small increments. You're getting that CBD to work even better, even faster. It's like the accelerator on a car, right?
Yes.
So it's very different, you know. And
Isn't that
people don't-
interesting that they work in tandem? It is
They do.
so much more effective to have the small amount of THC, and the THC is a hard sell because I try to put people onto it. I'm rocking even Angelina's Blessed bars, like these CBDs, like 100 CBD with 10 milligrams THC
Yes.
in one bar. It's like a 10
They're
to 1
fantastic.
every
I
day.
keep like 6 of them.
Yeah. Honestly, everyone should just be having one
Honestly,
piece in the morning.
So that's the medicine.
But you need both, and
For your
I think
body.
that's where, you know, some people don't understand. They don't understand that concept that you're bringing. You start in medical, you kind of start with the CBD and then bring in small increments of THC,
Yeah.
and titrate it so that you're not, you know,
Yes.
you know, you've got to go low and slow. They say that for a reason, right?
Yeah.
And also, I think there is a transition period, no matter what, like small amount, you're still like, when you first try 1 milligram of THC, you're probably going to feel a little different than you have
like
before,
a little elevated
right?
state,
So-
like, oh, this is
So
groovy.
that, like, to have that education,
You have to know your sweet spot too. I find with medical, you need to know that sweet spot. Like for me, I know that a 70 milligram edible is my limit. I know that. Whereas
Okay.
yours might be 140.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. So there is still going to be that transition period where you're getting
Everybody's
used
sweet
to
spot
the,
is different.
yeah.
My
And
limit's
when
like
you're-
50.
And when you're adding those increments of THC into the dose, like that's where you got to find that, okay, this is my sweet spot. This is what I'm going to take every day. I know what I take 2 full mils of 1-to-1 oil every day, once in the morning and once usually around 4 o'clock.
Awesome.
Beautiful. That is the schedule. That's the dream
Have
schedule.
you
right there.
ever worked with someone who was like, went from like very against to like,
Have you ever broken the stigma
Yeah.
in someone?
Oh yeah. Okay, here's an example. I mean, and I certainly don't want, um, my husband's family.
Yes, I did the same. High five.
You know what I mean? They actually, we were at a wedding not that long ago, and their knees were sore, and I'm like, put this topical on. Like but in their mind, they're thinking, I'm gonna get high from this, right?
Yeah.
It's like a Bengay. It's like a Bengay, but better. It's natural Bengay.
They danced all night. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, but like, I think that there's certain, they just think that like you're gonna get high, right?
Yeah, I don't blame people. It was set up that way to
they
think
were
about
told,
like
and if
that,
they
right?
listened
Like,
and they didn't learn critical thinking and they just follow, that's what
And
it
if you
is.
think-
I was dealt the biggest stigma with my age.
I
Trust me.
can't imagine.
I mean, I hid. I meant I'd have to go see the guy and meet the guy and go get, you know what I mean? So I lived it all. I go to family functions and hide, perfume, the whole 9 yards, right? Because I've done it my whole life, right?
Yeah.
But we hid it so much, and I'm almost ashamed for hiding it that much now.
Oh, good for you.
Now that I see, how much, like, I see what my daughter has access to and what I had to go through to get it, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
It was always waiting on someone. You're always, you didn't know what you were getting. You didn't, there was no, and like I said, now when I look at the genetics and the, I mean, it's just incredible. And I mean, and now that I've educated myself as far as what terpenes do it for me, like, listen, I shop, per terpene profile. That's
Me
how
too.
I shop.
I talk terpene profile too. What's your favorites? What's your ones you like? I like limonene and linalool and myrcene. Those are my top that I enjoy.
I like myrcene. I like farzine. I like humulene.
Yes, I like humulene.
She loves humulene.
I love humulene. It tastes so good.
Clean, right?
Yes. And I like limonene. And I'm going to tell you, it's like that indica sativa conversation. Like, during the pandemic. Ones. Yeah, during the pandemic, before the pandemic, I should say, I only ever smoked indicas because I'm hyper, right?
Gas, berries, thick, earthy. But you explore with the citridine, pidines, the high ones now with the sativas.
I did during the pandemic because I felt that those ones were bringing me down a little bit too much. Because let's face it, we all went through our own little personal hell during that time, right?
Holy.
So, and still are. I mean, we're dealing with one of the biggest mental health crisis we're ever going to see from that pandemic. I mean, we're only seeing the beginning of it now.
And the media influence, the implications of not connecting, all of this interesting collateral stuff that we're not even sure how it's affecting us moving forward. It's very interesting to see. You're right. But I think
now I need limonene, like I do. I need that little bit of spark, right? Don't get me wrong, there's still limonene and indicas too.
Definitely.
But I am very much not the indica sativa person I used to be at all. I'm definitely all about terpenes.
Yeah, because that's really what it is. That's like if I'm hanging out at the shop and someone's like, hey, what's the THC percentage? I'm like, do you want to know? Do you want me to just like put you on? Like I say this to customers, like I interrupt them, like, do you want me to just like, let you buy moonshine or do you want to know my opinion? And they're like, they always say yes. So I'm like, okay, the high, the state, if you're going for the high, you're buying for the high, I've confirmed that. And so, so they're going for the high. I'm like, the state in which you're in isn't necessarily determined by the THC. It's the collection of the terpene profile, how it interacts with your body and the entourage effects of the different cannabinoids in this plant. So you have to shop for the bouquet of flowers, nothing to do with alcohol percentage. They think they're shopping for alcohol. They think, oh my God. And I'm like, no. So I'm singing your praises over here saying being obsessed with terp. I think that is honestly the right way to interact with cannabis. That's my opinion. But
I know which ones, more importantly though, I know which ones I don't like. So, You know, there's ones that I know right away it's in there. I don't like the taste of it. It tastes like wet, dirty socks or whatever. I don't like it. And, you know, I always think about, I'm really good friends with Tamara Lillian, and she'll say, then if you don't like the taste, that cannabis is not for you. You know what I mean? And she's right. She's absolutely
That's
right.
totally
Because
right.
your senses will tell you. Your nose, these are survival things that let you know what's going to work with your body. You know intuitively by smelling it. That happens when you taste it, and you know it's like a fit. And you're like,
yes.
Like, you know, when you have one that's like, it's grapey or something, and it's like, I like the grape flavor taste. So I'm like, ooh, this Granddaddy Perp's coming with me. Like, that's my blanket.
Exactly.
You know, but
it's almost like, I think that's almost part of the whole homeostasis thing, because you know, the minute you taste it, your body just knows that, because like, I won't say which one, but I brought one home, and it's kind of a premium one a couple of weeks ago. And it was so funny. My husband took a drag off it and said, "You won't like it. I already know." Because he knows which ones I don't like. And it's that dirty sock, musty taste ones that just like gassy. I like fruity, I like gassy, I like cheesy. Cheesy's my favorite, you know. The stinkier the better.
I like a cheese too. The UK cheese, a blue cheese.
Or a blue cheese, yes. Like, I love the terpenes that make up those. But yeah, I know, like pinene, I'm not a fan of. Anything that tastes outdoorsy or woodsy,
so you're not a fan of. You're not gonna like a breath. You know, like a Mendo breath or a breath, like that's very oaky, woodsy, shitty. It's like,
not a fan.
You would perceive it as wet dog.
Yes, wet socks. That's what I always say. You know. But yeah, so I know right away. But and I think that was the best part about learning about medical cannabis was, I mean, let's face it, I didn't know about terpenes when I was using it when I was young. I mean, it probably barely had any terpenes in it for all I know. I mean, you know, like,
the flavor profiles back then were probably just like grass and more grassy.
They were. And I mean, and like I said, and then when we moved into sort of more hydroponics and things like that, that's when we started seeing better quality cannabis and, you know, things like that. But hey, you know, someone would say, hey, everything was Colombian, you know, like, what is it? It's Colombian. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, fuck. So good.
You know what I mean? So yeah, no, I really appreciate it. Like, I appreciate it like people appreciate fine wine, you know.
That's what it is. That's what I bring it up as. I'm like, I'm a kind of a connoisseur. Like, I might do my sommelier thing, you know, and just figure that out. Mimi, this is so fun. You're the best. You have such a great attitude.
And I do have more things that I want to ask. If someone were to come to you, just like, I just feel like this video could reach a lot of people who could really benefit from it. And so if there's someone out there who's watching right now that says, well, if I was to contact you for some guidance, like what might that look like? Like, how would you address me? What would we do to sort of lean into my a personalized cannabis journey?
Well, I'm a firm believer, especially with people over 50 who take a lot of medication. I always recommend that they go through a medical cannabis appointment, whether they purchase through there the odd time or purchase at a rec store, whatever. I still think going through that appointment is really important for several reasons. Number one, safety. You know, number two, mixing medications with cannabis. I mean, the jury's still out on a few things. The jury's still out on heart problems and cannabis, and the jury's still out on blood thinners and CBD oil. So, you know, I always like to take those precautions first. And I think that, you know, everyone's entitled to go through a free medical cannabis appointment. And find those things out to make sure that they are going to be safe. And the reason why I say safety is because there's a lot of elderly people that live alone. You could fall, you could, you know, hurt yourself. You could, to me, I think it's just really, really important. So that's usually where I go first. And I usually ask if they've been buying recreationally and what they've been using. And then I usually refer them on to a nurse practitioner with some of the different companies that I'm affiliated with. And then after the nurse practitioner after the patient has had the appointment, then I usually go through what the results were of that appointment and what the nurse practitioner suggested. And that's usually what I do, and then help them place their first order so that they're not confusing, say, THC and CBD, right? So they're buying the right thing. It's expensive, right? You don't want them buying the wrong thing, right? So I'm just very, but I've also, on the other side of the coin, have gone shopping with people who don't know what they're doing. Would I love to be a personal shopper for some people? Absolutely. Although it doesn't really jive with the Cannabis Act. But honestly, I think there's a lot of people that could use some personal shoppers.
I agree.
I agree.
I think that would be such a utilized service, just because people, like, you're acting as a middle person. Like, someone doesn't, I would feel so much more comfortable coming to you and being like, this is who like, you are the expert, right? So, nurses, whatever, you have a list of resources and a network that you can guide people through, because it can be scary sometimes.
Well, do you want to know something? I have a whole concept, a name, a domain. I have everything for that concept. And it's called Pot Pals.
Oh, come on.
I love that.
So, like I said, in my lifetime, am I going to see that kind of lenience where we're going to be able to do that? Because theoretically, when you go into a store, although I have purchased for other people, I can't make it known that I'm purchasing for other people, right?
Really?
Theoretically, you're not supposed to.
Yeah.
No.
What's the law? What's the reason for the law?
Well, I just think that you are supposed to be purchasing it solely for yourself, I believe is the law. I mean, yes, there are places that have gift cards, that you can give gift cards. But to have somebody actually do personal shopping for you, there's definitely, the last time I checked the Cannabis Act, and I check it usually monthly, there are definitely some stipulations in regards to that.
Interesting, because I was just about to say, can someone watching this right now reach out to you and ask you for that help?
Because honestly, I have the whole concept where we would have pot pals all over the place, and you would hook up with a pot pal and they would go shopping with you, or get it for you, or whatever.
I pointed exactly, like, it's like being the connoisseur among your friends. You're like, oh, trust me, like, you want to try this, like, you like, she's a buyer for the store too, so it's like we always geek out. So it's like, if there's some new type of CBD gummies coming up, it's like we're already like pouncing on it as soon as someone mentions wanting something in that space or knowing it's good for them. It's so cool to be able to mix that personal shopper kind of very eloquent experience of like measuring someone's order. And
I do it for friends. I do it. Yeah. I do it for relatives. I go, like, it was funny. I was recently in a store and there were some people really struggling. And I just looked at them and I said, I'm your niece. And went over and said, just from my experience, I think you should be getting this product. And the person in the store just walked away and let me do my thing, right? And I gave them my card because they weren't getting the answer that they needed. These people needed straight 1-to-1 oil. They needed it. You know what I mean? But they weren't getting that. They were getting you can have CBD oil, or you can have,
too many options.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now, if someone's in pain, they need THC. I don't care who you are. You need some bit of THC.
Athletes need to be given THC every day. Athletes constantly pounding on their bodies.
Yes, but like we discussed previously, it is the accelerator that makes that CBD work even better. So, and now we're getting all kinds of different access to different cannabinoids, and I think we're going to be getting access to quite a few more, CBN and all of that,
CBG.
like for CBG for sleep, all of this stuff.
I've been taking that; it works amazing.
Yeah, so I think we are going to see, and I think we're going to see that we're going to see topicals that have a lot of, like kind of the way polysporin works, but will work as on infections and things like that.
Yeah.
What I hope to see the future of cannabis is that there'll be a special blend for someone with MS, a special blend for somebody with Parkinson's.
That's why pharmaceutical doesn't want to get now, because it's coming for all the medicines, homies. Sorry, right. You can slow it down, but you won't stop it. It's going to take care of all those shitty pills that keep people addicted and keep people as patients, as clients. This plant will free them by actually healing all these specific conditions, and this just disease, things that manifest in the body. It brings holistic homeostasis.
Hopefully people use it as like not a treatment, but
take it before some shit happens.
Yeah, because honestly, if you
medicine,
preventative. Thank you. That's what I was looking for.
And that's how I feel.
Yeah.
I feel I have. And that's why I feel so great at my age.
Imagine what you've prevented yourself from just by using it. Even just having a clear head and thinking, like, that's such a gift in itself that you get from it.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not a big rant of plants over pills. Yes, I do believe that there are some people that do still need pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, sorry, I'm pretty harsh on that.
No, and listen, in a perfect world, I mean, let's face it. But I also think that there's a time and a place, for everything. But I mean, I really think arthritis is a big one. I mean, let's face it, it's something that everybody deals with at some point in their life, pretty much. And the amount of anti-inflammatory medications that have, I mean, if you knew the people that come to me that literally have holes in their stomach from taking anti-inflammatory medication, right? So
I did a lot of
inflammatory is going to be a really big thing.
Yeah.
But that kind of answers your question of how I would approach it with somebody. To the point, safety first,
Yeah.
You're so cool. That's perfect. That's what we need.
Yeah.
That approach.
What would you say? Like, I can just hear people being like, oh, I just couldn't, like, I can't imagine what people would think of me if I tried
the social stigma, their neighbors.
This path.
The way I look at it now is the fact that it is legal. I think having a, I think having is a good argument. Weed won. I mean, the coach says weed won, and she's right. She's absolutely right, so I think there's a lot of strength in that. And I think that we are now dealing with a lot of people my age and older that are like, hey, it's legal now. I'm going to do it. I'm going to try it. But who would have never tried it because it wasn't legal. But I do believe that the first timer should be speaking to medical professionals. But yeah, weed won. Absolutely. So, you know what I mean?
Just that.
It's not perfect, and it's far from perfect. To me, it's not even real free enterprise yet.
No, you can't have cafes with it. Like, if you can sell,
and with as long as the government is the middleman, we don't have free enterprise.
Yeah, the OSC is fucked up. Like, they know they're bottlenecking the expansion. Like, they're just squeezing it as slow as they can. It has to continue to evolve, but eventually it will be open free enterprise. It will.
I hope so. Because it's right now we're dealing with like they're saying in the next 6 months that 15% of the stores in Ontario will be closed. In the next 6 months.
Well, it's just no sustainability. That's why they're bottlenecking still, as you said, and the hand behind the back of educating people. It's like they made it so hard to create community and retail, and fuck it worked, right? So only the Goliaths can stay standing, and then they will be the ones most likely rewarded. like the ones that could stay, because
the ones that could sustain it.
Yeah, in LA, the stores can grow plants in the store. Like it's amazing.
Wow.
Like on La Brea, and then there's a cafe right up there where you can order yourself off the food menu, a chicken sandwich and a nice drink or whatever, and then off the weed menu you can order like a pack of pre-roll joints and sit there and smoke, and it's like, this is how it should be treated.
There's like a corking.
Oh yeah,
bring your own weed.
Yeah,
right?
you can bring your own weed and then just give them $20 as a corking fee.
but it's funny. My big picture is if I could get my wish upon wishes upon cannabis wishes, it would be the biggest education center to do with cannabis, with live cannabis growing in it, cooking classes, product making classes, like a whole, and I like to call it the Mimi Cannabis Education Center.
I love that.
That's my other idea, but a place where a group of women could go and learn how to make bath bombs one night. The other thing that drives me nuts is the stores can't really do things like that. So I would like it so that, okay, tonight is Canna Cabana night and their customers are coming, or tonight is whatever night, you know what I mean, and their customers are coming and learning, right? So I think
that's so nice.
Yeah,
and that's where I would like, so that they would have, so that the stores would have a place to hold events.
This needs to happen. Like there's a couple stores like Thinker or whatever.
It will. The industry is going. It still is going in the right direction.
This needs to happen like now. Like illegally, it needs to happen. Like,
but that's going to end the stigma, especially for older people.
Because you're right.
They need to see the plants growing. They need to understand. They need to go to places where they can actually touch it and feel it and be with it and
be social and be with other people who are also interested. Like it's not a thing that you need to hide anymore.
Like my mom would think it was like dirty people drugs, like bum drugs, and I'm like, okay, you love Friends, Mom? Yeah. Jennifer Aniston, stoner. Yeah, she's like, no, like just don't believe it. I'm like, so it's like, no matter, it's so funny.
We all, what, we used to say that, 80% of people use cannabis, the other 20% lie or whatever, right? and that's the thing, right? I mean, like people like myself who have hit it for so long,
Yeah.
And now like my daughter's 20, going to be 21, and like we've always treated it more like medicine in this house, and I never made it a big deal, so it was never a big deal to her whether she of course she likes to use cannabis, but it's not, I never made it and I think that people have more problems when they do that. Let them try it.
Yeah, so I was gonna ask then, like, as an educator and or as someone who's been using it, how did you talk to your kids? Because I always ask that to anyone who's a parent and who's a stoner. Did you? Because it's an interesting thing to have it around kids, or I don't know. How did that happen?
Well, we never smoked it in front of her before she was of age. Like we would go into the shed or go out,
go for a walk.
Or whatever. Once she became older and, started getting canna curious herself, of course, we were, very, very supportive. She's such a good kid. We're so lucky. Yes, she likes it, but it's not the be all end all.
It's not the end all, right? Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's just a thing. It's just one of the things. It's like,
because I think it's because they have such easy access to it now that it doesn't seem like as big a deal as it was like when I was young, because we had no easy access. It was a chore to get cannabis.
It's chore. Yeah. I remember we started smoking weed in Vancouver when we were like 20, but we never admit to ourselves that we were stoners. So we were like 25. We smoked it for years, like just buying dime bags like every other day.
But definitely using it as like a party kind of.
Yeah, like it was a date night thing almost. Yeah. It was like, because it started as a solvent to a date.
Because I
Yes.
even still had a stigma while I was doing it.
Yeah.
Like I very much dealt with it's very confusing at one point.
Did you have that? Because I live to break rules. So if someone says something's illegal and it doesn't hurt anybody, that's a sweet spot for me. I'll do all that shit.
It didn't bother me at all. I hid my whole life and I used it and I bought it illegally my whole life.
Yeah.
My whole life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, to me, this is like, what's going on now? I know, like I said, it's not perfect, but it's
better.
like a kid. For me, someone like me, it's like a kid in a candy store.
I
you
agree.
know what I mean?
It's incredible. It's incredible, really, if we think about
and
it.
plus, I have a medical prescription as well. And I mean, I try to, get my hands on some of the best stuff I can get my hands on now, right?
Yeah, totally. So what's the specific experience with medical? Like, it's not going into a store, or it's just the way you treat it, or you get it shipped to you by what is that medical?
How it works is you have usually a Skype meeting with a nurse practitioner or doctor who specializes in cannabis. You get so many grams per day. You go through what's going on with you. They go through how cannabis can help you, of course, like they're very detailed, very smart. And then basically they're sent to me and I educate them and they can order it off different platforms. There's several different really good medical platforms right now. So, I mean, I work right now with Mendo Medical. So they have a really good lineup. But there's lots. And I think, like I said, I think we're going to see brick and mortars where people can go in and ask those questions. There'll be a pharmacist on staff, or there'll be like a nurse practitioner or a pharmacist probably on staff.
It's the experience. It's the treatment. It's not like there's access to another category of products.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
There's several products that
are medical only.
Well, that probably the retail stores wouldn't buy because they might not think that they'd sell. Whereas if people were educated, they would sell. Like you can get good one-to-one flour on a medical platform.
Nice.
It's hard to get good one-to-one flour in the stores.
Like a lot of
variety.
CBD.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, one-to-one oils, a good variety.
What's a one-to-one strain that you could say?
I would say sort of like there's like a dance hall would be a good would be a good
that's right
example.
Spinach had
but they
dance
also
hall.
have great, and this is what I use in the day, are one-to-one vape carts.
Packs?
Because that way packs both, I mean, but one-to-one vape carts, because for the simple reason I'm working all day, I don't want to be like some of the vape carts, if they're like 80% THC, I get the one-to-one. It takes care of my spasms, but yet it keeps me going. It keeps me focused. It keeps me on schedule. It keeps me.
The vape is very clean high if you get the right strain.
And that's the thing, because they can't talk medical in the recreational stores. A lot of customers don't get to learn about the benefits of one-to-one products. I love balanced products. They're my favorite. You know what I mean? And a lot of people don't get to know them until they sign up with a medical platform.
Cool.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Great.
Well, hopefully we have some
you
people.
You need both. At nighttime I bring out the big guns, of course. I love high THC at night, but I'm not working.
Like an indica?
I'm not focusing. I'm trying. Yeah, exactly.
Like some gassy cheese.
Yeah, exactly. But not in the daytime. A good one-to-one vape cart is great.
So smart.
So it is. And the one-to-one oils. I mean, I'm also a big fan. The one thing I will say there is one, the Ready Can raindrops. That's a good product in the retail store for people who are older. That 15 one. Do you sell it in your stores?
No, we do the gems, the 5 and 5 gems, and I actually like them a lot.
They're good too. They're very good too. But there needs to be more, right? There needs to be
edible options. I love the high CBD ones. Shred'ems has those purple ones, like 40 milligrams.
It's just not economically friendly.
They weren't too bad. It was
Well,
and
just
the thing
if you're
with
thinking about
medical
using
too,
them every
you can
day.
claim it on your income tax too, right?
I did not know that.
Oh, really? As a medicine?
Yes, absolutely. You
We've
can.
thrown away too many receipts, babe.
You got to have a prescription, but yes, it is tax deductible. And the
Okay,
other
you gotta
thing
have a
is there's a
prescription.
lot of benefit companies that have those expenditure accounts that will cover medical cannabis as well. And I think you will see, because it only makes sense if we're going to be moving to more of a plant-based way of life.
Yes.
Benefit companies are going to have to start covering it, because they're not going to have anything else to cover, because people are going to stop taking pills and using cannabis, right?
Yes.
So they have to get on the gravy train and start covering and making it accessible. Like I said, I believe Sun Life is one that's actually approving it for certain conditions. I believe there's 3 or 4 medical benefit companies right now that are covering it, but only for certain conditions.
It's worth the checkout if that resonates with you.
Check it out. And insurance companies, catch up and get on the gravy train if you're not there already. It's a real thing. It's a beautiful thing.
You know, the other thing that I'm really pushing right now is for older couples to grow together. You can grow 4 plants,
grow together to grow together.
We love it. You know, it's like foreplay for us. You know what I mean? It's like, it's great. Did you see the plants? Did you see? You know what I'm saying?
I love that.
I love
you know
that.
What I'm saying? So I think that you're allowed to grow 4 plants. For the love of God, if you're retired, you have time. Grow those 4 plants. Do it with your spouse. Do it with your significant other, and have fun with it. You know what I mean?
Be a botanist.
Yes.
Have fun with plants. Be connected with nature. It's a beautiful thing. We're yet to try and grow yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll probably do it in our next place. We'll have a little more space.
I have 7 back there now.
You have a backyard?
But yeah, in my backyard. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So
7
it's
plants.
Nice.
Are they tall? Are they sativas? Are they short?
They're tall. Yes, they are tall. And last year I had a couple of sausage parties break through where I ended up with a couple of males, but that I had to get rid of. But this year so far, they're all female, so I'm pretty happy. You know what I mean? I don't start from seed. I buy clones. I usually get them at one of the indigenous stores, and you pay your money, take your chances. Is it a girl? Is it a boy? You know what I mean? So, and that's how I usually do it every. I mean, I could start from seed and buy feminized seeds and do all that, but I just do it this way. You know what I mean?
You're risking buying a male when you buy a clone? They can't tell the difference?
Can't tell the difference at that point.
Fuck.
You know what I mean? When you're buying a clone, you can't tell the difference. So if all of a sudden you get these ball sacks, guess what? You got a male. You got to put a big tag over it and get rid of it.
You just got to eat it. The cost? How much is a clone?
In the indigenous stores, you can get clones for like $10.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
You know what I mean? But honestly, this year, beautiful ones. Now, I am going to start an indoor grow. That's when I'm going to get a little more particular and probably buy feminized seeds and, do for outdoor. For me, it's just to make butter. I do have a grow license. I could be growing a lot more, but I'm only growing 7 right now.
This has been such a beautiful conversation.
Yeah, so informative. I think this is going to reach a lot of people. And man, this is the type of conversation that really creates new bridges this can be an asset. Share this with your folks, share this with your people, reach out to Mimi. There are resources available.
Where
and how what a beautiful way to bridge generations is through cannabis.
Yes. Absolutely. Where should we follow you?
Yeah, where can people find you?
You can find me at Mimi Cannabis on Instagram, at Mimi Cannabis on TikTok, Michele Parrotta. Please find me there. Or, of course, you can just contact me through my website, www.mimicannabis.com.
Thank you so much for coming on.
This
is just
so important. Like you said, we have to make people comfortable with this. It's legal.
Yeah.
Yes.
So reach
Oh.
out to Mimi to get her on your podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And reach out
appreciate
to
you.
me if you have a parent or a grandparent that needs help, or if you have, I always make a point of saying that in podcasts, because sometimes they don't want to listen to the younger people. They feel better talking to someone more their own age in regards to
Absolutely.
this.
It's so
My
true.
goodness, I have people reach out to me just to ask me what the inside of a store looks like and what they should expect.
Yep.
So, you know what I mean? Just reach out to me and ask me questions. I'm here.
Oh, you're
Thank you.
playing such an important role. We thank you so much for being who you are.
Thank you for having me. It was so fun. I love you both.
You too. I appreciate you. We'll talk to you soon. We got updates to see how your indoor growing happens.
Okay. All right. We'll talk
Okay.
soon.
Thanks,
See ya.
everyone. Subscribe.
Yeah, guys, check out our Patreon. Go check out Mimi and follow me. Be kind to each other. Love yourself and your neighbor.
Discipline stoners.
The gateway drug to mindfulness.
Gateway drug to mindfulness. Let's roll one up and take a hit. Gateway drug to mindfulness. Let's roll one up and take a hit.
Hey, Win!
Oh my. Yes.
We got a new thing.
Oh, right. We need to tell you about our new thing.
Support the show now on Patreon and get a bunch of private perks.